Hi, everyone. My name is Malak.
And I'm Noelle, and today we're going to be discussing the late adolescence age cohort, theories, domains, cultural considerations, and other important information. Here is a quick overview of what our presentation will cover. And we are going to start with a quick video to get a preview of the late adolescent brain.
Teenagers are different. They dress differently, they talk differently, they do things that adults have trouble understanding. But the teen brain may have benefits, says Daphne Shahami, a neuroscientist at Columbia's Zuckerman Institute. She thinks that studying teenagers could help us understand how everyone makes decisions based on their experiences and their memories.
Memories are more than mental snapshots we look at every now and then. They guide every choice we make, like what to order at a restaurant, or whom to date or marry. They help us learn from our experiences, good and bad. Teenagers don't have a lot of experiences. Their brains are young. The part that drives them to seek rewards is hyperactive, while the part that puts the brakes on, that gives them self-control, isn't yet fully formed. We usually think of this immaturity as a bad thing. Teenagers are notorious for risky behavior, like smoking or driving fast, or for spending too much time playing video games and trying to get likes online. The neuroscience research is showing that the teen brain may have advantages. It may be wired to learn from experience. We scanned the brains of adults and teenagers as they learn to play a learning and memory game that we developed in my lab. The teens not only did better at the game, but they were also better at remembering random images flashed on the screen that weren't even part of the game. Our scans showed why. In teens, the part of the brain that seeks rewards, the striatum, was communicating with the hippocampus, the part of the brain that helps us store our memories. And teenagers showed more of this communication than the adults did. The teen brains were making powerful connections that helped them learn from their experiences. As scientists, we once thought that learning from experience and creating memories happen separately in different parts of the brain. But research like this illustrates that memory is woven into structures throughout the brain, connected in ways we're just beginning to discover. As students go back to school, it's really worth keeping in mind that learning isn't limited to memorizing facts from textbooks. It's something that happens constantly as we collect new experiences, both in and out of the classroom.
Okay, so we are going to start our presentation with some counseling issues that you may see within this age cohort. So the first is identity development and self-concept. Late adolescents, which are approximately 15 to 19 years of age, are actively constructing their identities and navigating questions about their values, their beliefs, their sexuality, career aspirations, social roles, and so much more. And this can create significant psychological distress, especially when identity exploration conflicts with family or cultural expectations, which can make that identity formation much more difficult. And then the second counseling issue is mental health concerns. So, as many of us know, late adolescence is a time when many psychiatric disorders, such as depression, anxiety disorders, substance use disorders, and early signs of serious mental illness like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia begin to appear. And these disorders go hand in hand with that heightened emotional reactivity that we learned about in the video, which results in a lot of risk-taking behaviors. And then finally, we have transition challenges. So late adolescents face multiple significant life transitions all at the same time. This is a time period where they are graduating high school and choosing to either go to college or enter the workforce, a time of increasing independence from their family, which creates adjustment difficulties, decision-making pressure, and potential for extreme overwhelming stress. So all three of these things altogether can create lots of stress for an adolescent. So some theories and critiques within this age cohort. The first is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is widely used with adolescents because of its structured nature. And research has found that CBT has been effective for adolescent anxiety and depression because of how structured it is. A few critiques. So while effective, standard CBT often does not address the developmental differences in adolescence. And research also suggests that CBT's emphasis on rational thinking may not fully account for adolescents still developing prefrontal cortex and emotion regulation capabilities. So it's not covering all of the bases that adolescents may need help with. And finally, CBT's focus on individual pathology sometimes can overlook other influences in the lives of adolescents, such as family and educational systems, which can result in the adolescent not having all of their issues feeling supported by the counselor. And the second theory with critiques is the person-centered or humanistic approach. These approaches emphasize empathy, unconditional positive regard, and they encourage self-actualization, which align with adolescents' developmental need for autonomy and identity exploration. So they're really encouraging them to be independent. And data shows with a critique, so data shows modest effectiveness for humanistic approaches with adolescents compared to more directive treatments. The non-directiveness of this type of therapy may not address acute symptom relief needed in crisis situations common in late adolescence. So because it's a non-directive approach, there may be symptoms that the adolescent is feeling in a crisis situation that may not be addressed within this approach. And this approach mainly focuses on Western individualistic values, which prioritize self-actualization, which may conflict with collectivist cultural values. And then finally, our last theory with the critique is family systems therapy. And this approach uses adolescent issues within family dynamics and recognizes the influence between individual development and family functioning. And a critique of this is, while supported by research for addressing adolescent substance use and conduct problems, using this type of therapy faces significant barriers, including scheduling difficulties with working parents and reluctant adolescents. And this approach can sometimes overemphasize family factors while underemphasizing peer and broader social influences that are important to late adolescence. So just focusing on the family may not be as helpful if the peer has other social influences that are affecting them. And finally, conventional family therapy models may inadequately address diverse family structures and cultural variations in family organizations. So not every single family looks the same, which might affect this type of therapy. So approaches to address these needs of adolescents, one of them is dialectical behavioral therapy, or DBT. And this addresses emotional regulation needs, components of this therapy include individual therapy, skills training, phone coaching, and therapist consultation. And then finally, narrative therapy, which addresses identity development needs, which is a huge component of adolescence. And this includes externalization, identifying unique outcomes, reauthoring, and witnessing.
All right, so how do these approaches address three developmental domains? First, cognitive domain. The approach meets teens where they are cognitively, so their brains are developing the ability to think more deeply and abstractly. Using motivational interviewing techniques honors their growing independence while helping them explore what truly matters to them rather than telling them what to do. It guides them in discovering their own values and goals as they figure out who they want to become. And for social emotional domain, for emotional development, DBT skills are adapted specifically for teens. Their brains are experiencing intense emotions that can feel overwhelming. So the approach teaches practical skills for handling strong feelings and getting along better with others. These skills can help them navigate their increasingly complex social world, from family relationships to friends and romantic connections. The focus is on building emotional muscles that they'll use throughout their life. And then identity formation domain, finally, storytelling techniques can help teens make sense of who they are. The approach encourages them to connect their past experiences with their hopes for the future. This respects their growing ability to reflect on themselves while giving them a structure to explore different possibilities. It's like helping them write their own life story with them as the main character, making meaningful choices. And let me share two major challenges we might face when working with teens. First, there's the training gap. This approach requires counselors to master multiple skills, things like motivational interviewing, DBT, and narrative techniques. But many places working with teens, like schools and community clinics, don't have enough resources to provide this kind of training. Plus, when the staff frequently leaves and new people come in, it's hard to build trust, and it's hard to keep the program running smoothly. Second, it is tough keeping teens engaged in counseling. In fact, over half of teens drop out in some places, and this happens for many reasons. They might, one, feel embarrassed about getting help, or they're busy with schools and activities, and then also they might have trouble getting appointments, or they just resist anything that feels like adults are telling them what to do. Sometimes the program itself might seem too complicated too, which makes teens less likely to stick with it. Next, let's look at the three important cultural considerations. So first, teens from diverse backgrounds juggle multiple identities from their race, ethnicity, gender, and more. Let's take an Asian American teen, for example, who might be balancing their career dreams with family traditions, and we have to respect both. And then we have second, families from different cultures have different views on independence. While Western approaches focus on individual growth, many cultures value family connections more. And we need to adjust our approach based on these family values. And third, mental health stigma. It varies across cultures. So some communities see mental health as a private family matter, or may not trust the health systems due to past experiences. In my culture, for example, mental health awareness does not exist. So success means working with community leaders and respecting cultural beliefs at the same time. And these are our references and our sources. Thank you.
Thank you.